Hey everybody, welcome back to OHKO, a Pokemon VGC podcast, the first OHKO of the new year. And new year, new us, and new side host. I'm just kidding. Sierra's had a crazy travel the last couple of days, so instead our good friend Joe Ugarte is going to be breaking 2026 in the new year here at OHKO. Joe, how you doing, buddy?
You know, doing good. You know, doing my usual fill-in for Sierra once in a while, so... Once all I got to tap in, but I mean, she did have a pretty crazy travel day.
She
so
really did.
I give her a pass. Yeah,
I don't even know.
Or she goes to visit her family. It's like she's traveling like forever, and I'm like, I don't know how you did that.
The family, they're also in Canada, but like it feels like her family might as well be in like I don't know, Russia or something like. It
like
feels
Asia,
like
you know,
how far she has to travel to see them. But so we hope Sierra's doing well, getting ready for Toronto. We'll have our Toronto preview episode next week. Make sure Sierra and I are together to give our predictions for that. The prediction now, Joe, will I see you in Toronto?
Oh, yes, I will be there. I haven't bought my flights yet, but I'll be there. Like one way or another.
What do you mean you haven't bought your flight yet, Joe? It's in like a week and a half.
I know. Listen, like I might just get like a one-way bus ticket. Take that 24-hour bus. You know what I'm saying? Or like whatever you do to get to Toronto.
Man. You're breaking my heart here. You're making me nervous now. I'm gonna have to check in on you because there's nothing I'd rather do than spend mid-January in one of the coldest cities that we could possibly travel to for Pokemon. You know?
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, like I kind of think about it like this. Like, yeah, it's gonna be cold, but like I feel like the vibes of a regional when it's like really cold, it's like snowy, is like kind of cooler than the vibes of regional where it's just hot as hell, you're like sweating like crazy, it's just gross outside, you want to get back to your hotel. Like that's way worse in my opinion, you know?
Yeah, and also people are more separated, right? Some people, they go out to different clubs or restaurants or whatever where maybe because it's cold, people are more willing to hang out in the lobby, play games and things like that, you know? So, I mean, I love Toronto. It's Tera and I talk about it all the time. It's one of our favorite cities. We want Worlds to be hosted in Toronto one of these years because that would just be
Toronto Worlds would be awesome. Yeah, Toronto Worlds would be great.
Yeah, so we're definitely excited for that. But that'll be more on Toronto on next week's episode of OHKO. For now, Joe, we're going to start with you, okay? That's what I think the people want to know. You've been crushing it on YouTube lately. You've been posting a lot of recaps from Regulation F and your thoughts and different guides. You're playing some gameplay videos with Tang, right? And I know it's like a collab, but you know what I mean. How's that YouTube grind been going? Was this like a late was this some type of a New Year's resolution to pick up more content, or was this something you've already been planning on running with?
So it's been like good. I think really what it was is like I think I was thinking a lot about like my relationship with the game, you know what I mean, like how I actually like go about practicing like everything. And I found like actually towards like I would say probably towards like the midpoint of like last year, after World, I was just feeling really like burnt out in terms of like when you're only competing and that's like your sole focus of like where you're prioritizing like Pokemon, it can get really exhausting, mostly because you're not really like basically if you do bad and you have nothing to do, or if you do well, and then it's great, right? And I kind of realized like I was just like thinking a little bit to myself. I remember a couple months ago, and I was just thinking like, okay, I was like, I really like want to do more where like if Pokemon like I do bad in like 5 tournaments in a row, like it's not gonna severely impact like my long-term income, right? Because like that's a part of it too, right? When you're a top player and this is your job, like that's an aspect of it. And I was like, okay, I also like now I'm going to the gym pretty frequently, right? Like I'm doing other stuff, and I feel like I've gotten in this habit of being in a routine of going to the gym, and now I can like kind of like add that on to something else, right? And like YouTube was something that I would always post for like a bit. There'd be like a span of 2-3 periods where like 2-3 months where I would just like obviously post a bunch of videos, and then I'd disappear for like another like 3 or 4 months, right? And I was like, no. I was like, this time what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it. I'm uploading every other day, like every other 2 days, non-negotiable. And the only break I took actually was between like Latin America and Vegas, and when I got back, which I actually didn't want to do. I just didn't really have time to prep in advance. That's probably the thing I'm worse at with YouTube. But yeah, I've been pretty consistent about it, so I'm pretty happy about it. It's good. Like I think for me, it's been like a really good outlet. It forces me to be like creative, think of different topics, talk about different things, right? And I think it's like a pretty satisfying like way to express your creativity, I think. So
Yeah, no, I think you've been crushing it. I've been enjoying it. I watched a couple of your videos, especially the one of you and Tang playing the Moltres, flinch team, reminding us of the good old days, right? With T-Wave and flinch chances, and I think you definitely keep it up. And one of the other things you brought up, you were going to the gym, and we had multiple members when I told people in the Discord that you were coming on today. They were like, "We noticed like he looks like he's been working out. He's been looking healthier and healthier every video that he posts." Tell us about how that journey is going, because it looks like your hard effort is paying off. People are noticing the work you're putting in.
yeah, it's good. So, I mean, to just, I guess, like say exactly what it was. So when I started going to gym last year, like I was actually like, I think I was like pretty unhealthy with my weight. Like I was like 275, I'm pretty sure, which is very high. Like that's like very high for my height, like everything. I was just like, okay, like I'm not happy with this. So I'm going to start going to gym. It was a local gym, like really close to me. So it's like really not that much of an effort to go. Now I think I'm down to like 244 pounds, I think total. And like, that's after like even 2 months of me like kind of being like, well, not 2 months, I guess a month and a half of being sick since I got back from LAIC really. And I haven't gotten to go to gym actually the past month because I had like a respiratory, I don't know, it was something with my lungs or whatever. I think it's still like that flu or COVID stuff going around that like everyone's getting. And like, yeah, I was just like basically like I would breathe and you could hear like the rattling in my lungs. It was really nasty.
Oh, wow.
So I actually couldn't go to the gym at all. But even with that, the fact that I'm like still like being a little more conscious about what I'm eating, like everything, it's actually been really good. Like health wise, I feel like way better than I think I did last year. So I think it's just about small gradual improvements, but it's been good. Like, I mean, I think the nice thing about gym that I always tell people, or like what I really like about it is like when you put in work in Pokemon sometimes, right? Like let's say you work really hard, right? You play like, a ton of games to practice for Toronto regionals, or like actually I'm not gonna say Toronto, we'll say a different event, right? We'll say LAIC, for example, right? Because LAIC didn't go well for me. You put in a ton of time, practice, whatever, and it doesn't go your way, you get a bit unlucky, you pull some hard stuff and that's it, you're out. Like that sucks, right? With the gym, it's like, yeah, sometimes maybe you don't like break your PR every day, or you don't like, you know what I mean? Like I guess sometimes you don't see like big improvements every time, but you never really have like I can't do something anymore. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, I get unlucky. Like it is just clear progress that if you're putting in work and time, like you will see the results of that regardless, right? There's no like luck factor involved. It's basically just like you're putting in time, you're putting in effort, and like you're seeing the like results of that. And I think that's the nice part about going to the gym and working out is like and it's like a nice, like, I guess, peaceful part away from Pokemon where it's like I put effort into something and it's like returning that value. And that's actually a lot of like why I did YouTube as well, because YouTube is kind of a very similar thing, right? You put in the effort to YouTube, you do it properly, right? You grow stuff, like you see the returns on it. I think that's something that I'm trying to have a little bit more of in my life, and it's been great for that. So
yeah, absolutely. You got the growth on YouTube. You got the gains in the muscle.
Yeah, right.
Love to hear it. We also had a lot of questions coming in from people excited to have you on the pod, and multiple of those questions, or multiple, I should say, are obviously about Torkoal. I think people wanted to know, so they want to know how's Torkoal doing, and then also, how does it feel when you're on stream and you get to click helping hand eruption in the sun, like just you're living your best life with Torkoal.
Yeah, I mean, so like it's funny because Torkoal as a Pokemon is like actually like I really like I think last year I liked Torkoal more than I like him this year. Unfortunately, like I feel like okay, not unfortunately, like I still like him. You know what I mean? Like he's chill, but like it's over between us. You know what I'm saying? Like this year, this year, like I'm trying to like push myself out of the Torkoal range of things. You know what I mean? I think. What was really beneficial about it was a lot of times I would obviously like lock in like sun stuff and I was pretty comfortable with it. But in Regulation F, I was thinking about it a little, or Regulation H, sorry. I didn't use the sand stuff because I was so hesitant to drop the sun team that had done well in the past that I think I didn't fully capitalize off of a really good team. Like I think if I had brought sand to LAIC, I could have done really well. I actually don't know why I didn't, to be honest, like in hindsight. But like
I love that sand team.
I think it like because the results were so good with that team, but because I was so afraid to switch because it wasn't Torkoal stuff that I'd been using forever. I kind of realized I'm like, okay, I'm getting like a little too ingrained and like I have to use this specific kind of team. So I want to like try to force myself to use something that still feels comfortable or like good, but it's like different than what I've been using. So like in other words, Torkoal's good. I mean, he's chill, you know what I mean? He's got a lot of other like You know, he's got a lot of side pieces. 'Cause a lot of people use him, but like, you know, for me, I'm skipping out using him. But he's still. I mean, I do still like Torkoal. There probably will be a tournament, and maybe even this year, like, you know what I mean, some point where I will end up using it. Maybe in Champions, who knows? But yeah.
Yeah, now I'm gonna go. I'm scrolling through our questions here. Some of these were asked back in December, but since you're here, I feel like this is just like good conversational things we can start the pod with here. And oh geez, I lost it. Here it is. Okay, so I'm gonna change it a little bit from Zach Beans, and I'll say besides the Pachirisu match, if there was what VGC set would you show to a gamer to get them interested in playing competitive Pokemon? Can't say Pachirisu match.
Yeah, I mean, the Pachirisu match is also a lame answer, in my opinion. I'm trying to think of, like, because I feel like there's a lot of good matches like that in VGC, but, like, it's hard to find ones that, like, are... Or, like, it's a lot of times hard to find ones that are, like, hype, despite, like if you don't understand, basically, like, the game, right? Because, like, I think that's always a challenge with, like, a question like this. So I think you have to look for ones where, like, the commentary was very hype, right? Or there was some kind of storyline behind it where you can explain why it's really cool, right? So I think, for example, like, if you talk about, like, maybe Marco's, like, LAIC winning match in, like, 24, right? Like, you could be like, yeah, this guy's the GOAT. Like, he won, like, you know what I mean? Like, LAIC last year, he was defending the tournament. He's, like, one of the best. He's growing into one of the best players in the world. Or you'd be like, oh, like, Wolf's match in 2016. I mean, Aaron was going crazy on commentary in that match. If you actually go back and watch it, like, it makes VGC 2016 look like a way better format than it actually was. Like, I would probably say, I know it's, like, obviously a basic answer, but Wolf's Worlds win, like, he is arguably, like, I mean, not arguably, he is, like, the face of, like, VGC in terms of, like, to a casual audience, right? So I feel like if you were trying to get someone to engage with it, like, that match is, like, a very natural choice, I think, just to get people into it. Besides that, you'd probably want to pick matches where, like, again, the commentary is, like, very hype. And I think, honestly, a lot of, like, Worlds Finals that I've seen, right? Like, I think the hype is always there, but there's always, like, like, something so crazy about, like, hearing, like, an Aaron, like, you know, call out, like, when, like, something crazy happens or, like, whatever. Yeah, he just has, like, the right energy sometimes for, like, Worlds Finals. So, like, to me, like, the matches that jumped in my head immediately were, like, Wolf's match, and then I would say actually Paul Ruiz versus Emilio Forbes. I thought that actually had a decent level of hype behind it as well.
I think it's a great answer. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to think too. Like, because it has to have the high stakes, it has to have the high levels of commentary, excitement, right? And, like, I always feel tough in this spot because I selfishly think of my own like moments that like, because if I want to show someone why VGC is great, I'm going to think of the memories that I had of why I love it. And a lot of times,
of course,
if I was in the booth, right? So I feel kind of selfish with it, but, like, I generally think, like, your Kyogre wins the raffle match, right?
Yeah,
it's sad on your end, but like, that is kind of the highs and lows of VGC in a very strong sense. You know what I mean? Like, you see, here's the less than 3% chance to win, and he plays to his out.
Top 4 NAIC 2022. You know, that one too.
That one too. But that was just like, that one feels mean. That one feels mean. You know what I mean? Like, that was just
also, you can't even show the full thing because it cuts out. Like, it literally cuts out. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's just like a heartbreaker. At least the Aaron one, like, we made a positive, championship history video out of, like, never giving up on yourself. I don't think that was, like, it was not like James didn't not give up on himself. It was just like Groudon decided, not to exist anymore. It is so funny because with the James thing in our friend group, we like, somehow it always gets brought up as, like, a joke. You know what I mean? It's like, basically the joke is, so, like, if you don't know the full context of the set, like, obviously me and James are chilling out, so it doesn't matter. So what happens in the 22 set is, obviously I get really unlucky or whatever, and, like, James on the interview after is like, oh, I don't think it really mattered. Now, of course, me at the time,
for anyone not knowing, it was a double Precipice Blades miss into a crit Flare Blitz for the KO.
Yeah, or, like, crit Flare Blitz burn. It was crit Flare Blitz burn. Actually, yeah, it was crit Flare Blitz burn.
The burn was worse than the KO.
That's what it was. Right. But what happened is, like, I remember after I was, like, really angry, whatever. But now, like, obviously we, like, in our friend group, like, there are people who are, like, younger, like, just learn the story or whatever. So sometimes, like, me and James will just be chilling call, and then, like, so someone will say something, like, really dumb. They'll be like, oh, but it didn't matter though. You know what I mean? Just, like, randomly. And I'm like, bro, like, you guys are so dumb. You know what I mean? So like, it didn't matter though. It's like the joke. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, but it just didn't matter. You know what I mean? Or, like, you beat someone in a friendly best of 3, and it's like, oh, bro, I double missed Rockstar. It's like, oh, it didn't matter though. You know what I mean? So it's just like the joke. But yeah, no, it's funny because it'll be me and James calling James like, man, we're still on this like 4 years later. And I'm like, yeah, I guess we are, bro.
Listen, you guys are gonna be in a retirement home one day, and he's all cranky, can't move, and he's still gonna say it didn't matter. That's just how.
last words, just whispering in his ear. It didn't matter though,
I think some of the other matches, I think Paul Ruiz's match would be excellent because I mean that like arguably is like the greatest atmosphere I've ever experienced in the crowd of a Worlds or any event. I think one of our people in Discord said to the Mousehold match in Baltimore last year because that's about
where people are counting down,
exciting crowd experience and things, right? So I think there's that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of matches.
I think the main problem I have with the new generations of Pokemon, actually, I mean, this is like my main issue really is just I think it's hard to show newer Worlds matches, like not because of the commentary, but because like I mean I think this is arguably one of the worst changes they've ever made, which was not having a World Championship theme play in finals of a World Championship match. Like when I listen to like commentary from 2016, I'm like hearing the World Champion theme in the background. I'm like, yo, this is like the real deal. You know what I mean? Like it's World Finals. And then I'm listening to like Champion Leon's theme in like 22. I'm like, bro, like what are we doing, bro? Like, are we serious? Like I also didn't like that theme to begin with, but like I was like, I'm like listening to that theme. I'm like, damn, man. Like I was like, I want to listen to like the World Champion theme. So I think like the one thing I hope with Champions, because obviously with Champions they have the opportunity to do like a lot of different things, whatever they want, because it's like kind of like a VGC sandbox from what I'm understanding, right? It's like I hope that they bring back like a lot of hype music, let people select it, and then have the World Championship theme back as well. I feel like that would be like one of the most like. Could you imagine the hype in the arena? We haven't had the World Championship theme in like I think it's it's literally 6 years. I think at this point. And like the arena is like set up and everything just like it was last year. It's in a bigger thing, and then you hear the World Championship music on the speakers. Tell me that would not be crazy, bro. That would be insane. That would be insane.
We have Steph Curry in the crowd. He's cheering,
exactly.
Rooting on. It's good. Yeah, no, I'm very, very excited. I'm sure the smart minds, they know they have Pokemon and TPCI and whoever. They have such an opportunity to have this game explode in popularity with Pokemon Champions that like I trust the people in place that they're going to figure out how to capitalize on this potential.
Yep.
All right, we got another question, all from VGC. It's just a quick question from Brandon. He said, I don't think TPCI categorizes this, but we'll say, where will TPCI put Eternal Flower Floette for a category? Will it be a sub-legendary, a legendary, or a mythical?
I think I would say 70% mythical, 30% sub-legendary, I think would be what I think it is. Like,
really? I'm actually 0%. I think it's like a GS Cup legendary. It doesn't have to be good to be GS Cup, right? Like Cosmoem and Cosmog still count as legendary Pokemon.
Let me look at these things stats again to tell you whether or not I think it'd be GS Cup.
I'm saying regardless of if it is good or not, Cosmog stats are not good, and it still counts as your restricted Pokemon. I guess
Cosmog so like
from a categorical sense, I think it would be categorized as a legendary Pokemon.
It's a sub-legend for sure. I'm looking at this would if it was going to be okay, so like I'm specifying if it was not a mythical, it's going to be a sub-legend in my opinion. I think that's going to happen. But the problem that I think will cause it to be a mythical, like I'm actually moving it to 80% or like 90% of the time. And the reason why is because to get it is so freaking obnoxious. You have to do the infinite ZA Royale like forever to get it, right? To unlock it. And like, I'll be honest, I've played ZA a lot. I still do not have this mon. I'm too lazy. I'm not sitting there and just beating up random trainers to like get this Floette. Like, I can't be bothered. Like, it's not even, and the thing is too, is in ranked, it's not even really worth it either. So like in ranked ZA specifically, right? Yeah. So I feel like for them, like if they were gonna make it more accessible, or they created a mystery gift or like an event or something where you could just get it like easier and like maybe like champions, I don't know, whatever, right? Then maybe, but I guess it would all depend on like how accessible it is, right? Because I think if it keeps the same like route of unlocking it as it is now, I would see it more likely being a mythical. I think it's very highly probable it would be a mythical, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I think my choices are either mythical or legendary. Like I don't think it counts like Suicune or Landorus or Entei or whatever. You know what I mean? Because or Latias. Those are the sub-legendary categories. So, all right, let's continue on the ZA conversation here because we have, I think it was from Magi. You want to make sure it was, give right credit. Yes, so Magi is asking you, because you've shown a lot of interest in ZA and you've been loving playing the game. Is a part of your interest in Legend ZA the fact that we're kind of in a swan song period, or the end of life of Scarlet and Violet, that allows you to appreciate ZA more because it's like different and we've been playing Scarlet and Violet forever? Or would you love the game so much regardless of how long we've been playing this generation?
I think I would like the game regardless. I wouldn't have made content on it if we weren't in this period of Scarlet and Violet, is what I will say. Right? So
that's fair.
Or like I would have made content on it as long as I did if we weren't in this period of Scarlet and Violet, specifically because now actually content for it. Like the thing is with Legends games, right? Is actually like I didn't like Arceus at all. I actually really, really liked ZA. Everything about it I enjoyed a lot. It was, in my opinion, one of the best Pokemon games of all time, just in terms of like, I mean, there were still some aspects that are always in Pokemon games you can't get rid of, like the kid protagonist, like somehow magically always like winning all the time, or like the number one thing I hate about ZA was when someone was like, "Oh, well, I have to stop you, but if you battle me, then you know what I mean? Like, I guess I can't stop you." And I'm like, bro, like, can't you just say you lost, bro? Like, are you serious? Like, or like, there was like one where I remember I was just like sitting down, like playing the game, and she's like, "Oh, well, I'm really upset about this." I'm like, "So let's sort it with the battle," like as a joke. And then like the next line is like, "So let's battle." And I'm like, bro, damn it. Like, come on, man. Like, but no, I think like besides that, like it definitely was a step in the right direction. I mean, the end part where you are controlling Zygarde, you get to manually select its move, and it does like 1,000 arrows on the tower. It's like whoosh, like everything comes down. That like genuinely, that entire ending segment, I'm like, damn, that was like, I felt like a Pokemon trainer. That was crazy. Like I actually felt like the main character. You know what I mean? Like you'll play like an old Pokemon game, and it'll be like, oh, okay, you just like had this box of like, I don't know, like 10 like what for alligators, I don't know, like, you know, like 6 for alligators on your team, and I beat like the team boss Giovanni, who's like a crime lord. And then you have this game where it's like, no, I'm mega evolving the Zygarde, and I'm throwing out like Neolight into a comet coming down from the sky about to annihilate Lumiose. Like, it is so much cooler, right? So I think they really nailed like the pacing of it. But anyways, to answer the question, after all that being said, I really like the game. And I think it is very cool because they were allowed to be creative with it, because it wasn't a mainline series, or it wasn't like a normal mainline series game where they needed to incorporate VGC. So I enjoyed it a lot. Would it be something that I would have like covered or like done rank battles guides for as long as I did if VGC was like at the time more popular in the rotation? Probably not. But also like I really did enjoy like rank battles in ZA and stuff. So like it was definitely like a bit of like, of course, like the game's popular, but also too, it was like good for me to make consistent content as well, right? It was something that I could make content on. It was fresh, it was good, the game was enjoyable, right? And you know, I appreciate the game for that too. Just outside the content, it was a very well made game, I think.
Yeah, I love ZA. You know, we talked about it in our review. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Arceus, or Arceus. That was okay. Like I had fun with it, and I didn't think the strong style, agile style thing was as big of a hit as they thought it was going to be. Like this, bro,
it was so lame, bro. It was so lame.
It's like, oh, okay, well, power style, power or strong style gets the knockout, and then I don't have to care that my turn order is lowered because I'm going to get the KO. Okay,
yeah.
Like it just really was not as cool as they thought, and I didn't like the research of having to catch 25 Starlies for the thing and all that stuff, and so I really did enjoy ZA a lot more. And I think my main gripe with ZA is I really don't like Tawny and Urbane. Like
I do not like them either.
Bro, Urbane has some of the most stolen valor I have ever seen in a video game in my life. Like, I built Team MZ up. I, brick by brick, beat every person. I beat the crime boss. I hit rank A. I should have been the one saving the world. And we all... And he, like, that's because with the rivals, every time when they... For the story purpose, they have to pretend that we're, like, at an equal footing, but he gets decimated every single battle. But then the story still says, oh, I guess we're, like, both equally... We might as well be, you know, both tied as the best in the no, like I destroyed you every single time.
Yeah, I mean, also too, what I hate is like so I was talking about how cool the conclusion was. I hate the build up to it though. It's like you win, right? Or at least like, you know, I won. I'm assuming you won as well. I think it's very easy to beat like Tawny or Urbane, and then they're like, but I'm gonna go do it anyways. And then they're like, it's like, why? Like, what was the point of battling? Like, no, that's what I was more annoyed about. I was like, that's the one thing that like drove me crazy about the game. Sometimes you battle for no reason. So it's like, it builds up to this big final conclusion where like the winner gets to actually go up and do it, right? And then it's like, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna go, it's chill. And then it's like, okay, but then why did I just battle you? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't you just like go anyways? And then the whole ending segment plays. You know what I mean? It was just like, I don't know, it was really goofy.
No, for sure. And so I think we'll have one more question at the end of the pod. We'll tease that for our question of the week. So now we can continue talking about Legends ZA and the DLC. And, I think it's good to have you on here because you love ZA so much. And like, I'm just going to be fully candid, Joe. I'm really not enjoying the DLC. I'm having difficulty actually like sitting down to attempt to play it, to mix my berries for my 4.5 minute times in the dimension world with my donuts and having to catch five meowths while I'm in there when I already caught 1,000 Pokemon to get the shiny charm beforehand. Like, I'm really struggling finding any redeeming qualities about this DLC because it's just like Donut Simulator slop at some points. Like, the visuals are cool. I think it's the alternate dimension is cool, and like the storyline things are cool, but like I'm struggling, man.
Okay, so my question for you is, right? Do you have spoilers for the full thing? Are we like spoiler free here, or like?
I'm maybe. What am I on? I'm on 3-star dimensions. So I've done I've done like 4 mega battles, maybe 3. Like the storyline mega battles.
Do you care about spoilers? Do you care about spoilers or no?
I don't care. And it came out December 10th or something like that.
Okay,
11th, whatever the DLC was.
I will say
you can spoil stuff.
Okay, so I will say you actually don't know. I actually don't want to spoil if you don't know.
Well, oh god, well, give me a hint then.
Okay.
I've literally played basically 4 or 5 hours.
Okay, so imagine one of the sickest Pokemon boss fights of all time. I'm saying using the system where you're battling the rogue Pokemon. Okay, mm-hmm. You have 3. It's a little tedious for sure to get to them, right? Because basically the way the game works is it broke up into 2 sections. The main DLC story is it's just warming you up a little bit. You know what I mean? It's oh yeah, we beat the story, but whatever. But there's still a little bit more. And then you realize that it's not even half of the DLC done yet. There's actually another half. So there's a post game to the DLC, which is already post game basically, if you think about it. So that part of the game, by the way, is insane because it has some of the coolest. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil if someone here who's watching hasn't played. You have to experience it on your own for the first time. It is actually genuinely one of the coolest boss fights. And it is something that has been done before, but remade in a way. So it's done before. I'm giving you a hint. It's been done before in Pokemon. There have even been remakes of it, but it has been remade once again to be incredibly hype and awesome. Is what I will say.
I'll try to continue on my travels to Toronto and stuff. I'll try to slug through it. But I think what frustrated me so much is I did spend so much time getting the shiny charm and catching 1 million Pokemon and doing 1,000 battles to get that. And when I saw that the DLC added research so that you could unlock the shiny charm without doing the 1,000 battles, I felt like I wasted so many hours of my life. I'll be serious. I was so frustrated. You know what I mean? That. I just feels like it wasn't. I don't want to hold anything against anyone. I'm not trying to keep the shiny charm or whatever. But I put so much of my time into doing those 1,000 battles. Now that the DLC is just it's the same thing as do X amount of battles to unlock a challenge ticket to then do the next rank. But now it's make a donut and do X amount of missions with that donut to then unlock the next mega battle. It's just it's more of the same.
I agree. I for what it's worth, I think so this is my opinion, right? I think the way they should have incorporated the donut system, right, is they should have made it so they only need to use the donuts and make a specific donut for special encounters, so specific exactly. Boss fights, stuff like that. I think that's what they should have done to clarify. Or instead of having the donut ranking system, just make it so you can just make a donut with a set amount of ingredients or whatever. But I guess that removes the creativity, so you know what I mean. It's weird because it's basically the scores on donuts don't matter when you're like doing the basic portals or like the first part of the game. As you like, okay, so like as
the math
you
gets
get
crazy. You got to break out a calculator.
yeah, as you get to the later parts of the game where you're unlocking the boss fights, like it actually matters like how many points you have in each thing. So like to specifically make those donuts, you need the certain amount of points. So I will say, like, yes, was it a grind 100%? But I guess we're in different shoes too. I didn't bother grinding for a shiny charm. I don't care. Like, like I just don't care about it, right? So like, I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna completely ignore that, right?
And if it wasn't the mission points leveling up for you to 800 points at a time after catching 3 Pokemon in this one, and then breaking 5 Pokeballs for another 500 points, like that, like that's what frustrates me with this design on the DLC is like the non-mega battles. All of the Ultra Dimension, whatever. You should just be able to walk in and out and do whatever you want there. Set up the donuts are like the sandwiches, so you set up whichever donut you want for higher shiny charm or higher catch odds or whatever. And then when you had to do the missions to battle things, like that's when it should have mattered. But like it's just so much wasted time doing the same thing that I already put 50 hours into on the base game, you know.
Okay, so I actually low-key feel like, Joe, you won't actually get to the part that I want you to get to based on how you're like, yeah, I'm going to play it on the plane. I'm going to try. I know you're not doing that. I promise you I'm going to try. I know you're not doing that, Joe. So I'm going to actually share my screen. I'll show you a clip so you can understand the hype of what you reach, basically. Because I actually recorded specifically this segment on my OBS because I thought it looked so cool. I was like, I have to have it here. I'm gonna share for you.
Link it up.
Okay, where is it?
Oh my god. I love the base game, like I said. So
okay, so I'm sharing. You can see it, right? You can see it. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, it's actually really crazy. Okay.
All right. Oh my god, it's 15 minutes.
No, ignore that. That's just because I suck. That's just because I'm really, really bad at the game.
Oh, okay. I thought
that's because I'm bad at the game.
Now, Karina, she's the GOAT. I enjoy her character. I enjoy the donut girl. I think she's fun. All right, so it went black for our audio listeners. Joe is showing me.
Okay.
We're at like a tower thing. It looks kind of like Arceus' tower.
Tell me this isn't sick though.
Yeah,
right.
Okay, we got Rayquaza coming down. Now, did Rayquaza get like a new form I didn't know about?
No. It's just you. So level 200, by the way, off, which is crazy. So which is sick. And then here, I'm just gonna skip to the other part, and then we'll be done with this. What's it called? So once you do it, they do the little Zygarde fake out on you, right? You're like, oh yeah, okay, like I'm the GOAT, you know what I mean? I won or whatever. So you'll have to see it, right?
Yep, knocked its health bar out. Yeah. We fade to black. Do this for our audio listeners, so they know. Then it's gonna mega evolve,
and then you have to. And he goes crazy, by the way. You have to redo the fight again against Mega Ray. And he's throwing down like tornadoes, like windstorms, everything. Like he has literally 2 moves that instant one-shot you. It's like insane.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Like you see how my screen's already red? Like it's crazy. But yeah, this is all I wanted to show you. I just want to show you because I thought it was pretty sick. Yeah,
I'm happy that you like. I like your lead Glaceon there. That was smart. You know.
Yeah, it didn't do anything, by the way. Chomp was better, funny enough. But like,
well, yeah, because a lot of these Pokemon, if they're not mega, they're not using the plus moves that well.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to level. What do you think of the extra additional levels? Because like when it first got announced, people thought it was like increasing the level cap, but it's only, as we know now, it's just a temporary level boost.
Yeah, it was okay. They kind of faked this out on that one a little bit. I mean, I think what I would have liked, honestly, is if they actually, like, my preference, I would have actually liked it if they made the battles hard, because like if they made them reach levels that like were like literally 100 levels over us, or like something like ridiculously towards the end, to where like it actually was felt challenging. There's also one other thing, Joe, actually, that I have to tell you about that I think is a really cool addition for the DLC. So you remember how at the end of the game, when you can go to Quasartico and be like, hey, like you can run like a simulation versus any of the megas, there's actually a challenge in the game where I think you can only heal 3 times, and you do a gauntlet run of every single rogue mega battle in a row. And if you complete it, right, then you get a title on your online thing that you can show. But you have to be all of it in a row. and you can only heal 3 times. I'm pretty sure is what it is.
Wow.
And yeah, you can only heal your team 3 times. You can't like in between, like it doesn't reset or anything. It's basically almost like
100 or
yeah, well, whatever the max level is for them or whatever. Basically the levels are equalized or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah.
That sounds hard. I don't know if I'd be able to get through it. I don't know. I beat a lot of the regular game with Combine draining his forges.
Yeah.
So I feel like I could that's how like all those the one cafe that was like 10 battles in a row. Like I just used forges the whole time to just stay healthy, like except for the steel battle. Like maybe that's how you get through. You kind of cheat healing without having to actually click a potion, but I don't know. I said, for you, I promise I'm going to try to continue to play the DLC. Like,
I showed you like one of the final fight. I mean, technically, it's not even the full final fight. That's like the second final boss fight. There's actually the first story's final boss, and then that's the second story's final boss. So it's like there's a lot. There's like a lot of content. It wasn't definitely done the best way possible, but I definitely think like A for effort basically is what I think. Like A+ for effort. Like maybe like execution was a little bit less than desirable, but it was really cool in like concept of what they wanted to do, I think.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about the Pokemon, because like, I've had like the Mega spoiled and stuff, and I think I want to get your thoughts on it because I've been staunchly the biggest Mega defender for the last decade here. Everyone tries to trash on Megas. I say not in my house. I'm the biggest Mega fan, but like I almost feel like it's like we're suffering from success. Like there's too many Megas now. You know what I mean? Like it seems like some of these Pokemon really back in my day, Joe, when a Pokemon got a Mega, it's because they were a significant Pokemon, like a full evolution they knew was going to be a big deal. And now it's like, it feels like arbitrary, like they threw darts at walls on like Scovillain getting a Mega instead of some other, you know what I mean?
I think that the way I think of it is like more Megas are good, but I think, at least I guess selfishly from my opinion, I always look at it as like, okay, what are the Megas actually going to do to like force the other Megas out of rotation, or at least like make them more counterable, right? So when you think of like what I think at least are like the big, I guess 4 or 5 Mega Pokemon, right? You think of Mega Kangaskhan, you think of Mega Salamence, Mega Gengar, Mega Metagross, and Mega there's like one more for sure. No, not Mawile. Mawile's unfortunately fallen off a little bit. There's like one more I'm trying to think of. I don't know, something, whatever. I probably forgot a really important one. Charizard's pretty important. Yeah. But more so the point being that like I think that you have to create Megas in design that like specifically, I guess, like make it so that you can't just like abuse those top 5 all the time, right? Otherwise, like what reason do I have to deviate from them? And like what I will say is that the way they've designed a lot of these Pokemon, it did feel like they were afraid to make some of them as good as like those, but it also depends on ability, because there are some that I look at and I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a little bit underwhelming, but I'm like, ooh, but if they give this thing like some crazy ability, right, then like it could be really good. So I think like if you have a Pokemon that you feel like you're very disappointed by, with some exceptions, I think Mega Scovillain, for example, that thing's gonna be terrible regardless. They could give this thing like Super Orichalcum Pulse and it won't matter. It literally doesn't matter. It's terrible. But like there are some Pokemon that I think like legitimately, if they get the right ability, could be crazy. Like one that I'm really looking forward to is Mega Delphox. I think if they give it like Psychic Surge on Mega, could you imagine how crazy that'd be? Like it's speed tier, it's faster than Mega Gengar, right? It can pressure Mega Metagross, right? It has expanding force. It would be really threatening next to something like Indeedee, because you could expanding pre-Tera, and then if you think they're going to switch in Rillaboom or something, then you could Mega, get Psychic Surge back, and then expanding force, right? So like I think all the like that would be a cool application. Even if it was something like not Neural Force, but like something where it's like psychic moves are boosted, or it's like adaptability, or like whatever, anything like like it can be viable. The only thing is like I just hope they don't do like some things where they like give a Mega that could potentially be really good like a really bad ability. I'm terrified of Mega Delphox getting Levitate. If it gets Levitate, I'm gonna be devastated.
It is floating on the broom.
No. We can't be encouraging this, Joe. This is we're good.
Listen, Sierra thought I was crazy when I suggested it, but it's just the Joe hive mind. We're both thinking along the same lines here because it makes it better, but like I don't think it makes it broken because one, Incineroar still walls it. Like I don't think you're gonna have the ability to run Focus Blast as your fourth move, right? And you're going to miss it half the time anyway. So, like, the existence of Incineroar still walls Psychic Fire. So, like, I don't think it'll be broken, but I think it'll definitely make it, arguably the most viable of the three Kalos Megas.
Yeah, Levitate is so bad. I really, really hope they don't give it Levitate. I'd be so sad.
It then doesn't benefit from expanding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it won't benefit from the expanding force, and it's gonna get faked out, bro. It's like you basically just like trolled us. You know what I mean? Like I'd actually be devastated, Joe. Like I legit.
Yeah, but for the singles players, that's a free air balloon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
I don't know. Some of the other megas, it seemed like I said, used to mean something to get a mega, but then like Crabominable has one, and then like
hold on. I have a hot take on that one. I actually think Mega Crabominable, if it gets like a good ability like that makes it immune to Intimidate or something, I actually think it could be kind of crazy because it's actually I have to actually like talk about the stats for a second here. Let me pull this up.
Yeah,
it has one of the most min-maxed like stats out of like all the megas. Actually, it got a very good distribution.
What's the king one? Was it Hypercutter or something when you can't get intimidated?
Yeah, and it has that in its base form as well. So theoretically, you could also avoid Intimidate on switch in, and then you could go for mega. There's no here like on this set I have. There's no picture of it obviously, but like I'll share what I'm looking at. So you can see right here, right? So like its stats are crazy. Like it actually lost speed from its previous form, which is better. That's better for Trick Room, right? Yeah. And it's 157 base attack. That's actually kind of insane.
That's
like,
pretty good.
If you're thinking about it. And like also its stats, like those are that's very respectable bulk. Like for context, Incineroar is like 95 HP, I'm pretty sure, base HP, like 90 defense, and like I think it's like 95 spit F or something. I don't know, something along those lines. But point being, like this is actually very good bulk, very good attack investment, and you have Hypercutter pre-mega, which was the issue that like kind of invalidated a lot of the physical megas previously, right? So that's like kind of sick. You know,
it does kind of stink because I feel like I went on Tub Takes when ZA first came out. We talked about all the new megas and like what abilities we think would be cool and stuff. And a lot of the time, like Malamar here with Hypercutter, right? Like a lot of the time we were saying like we could just give them the ability they already have, right? Like it's like what would be the most viable way is if it keeps its ability that it already has. And a lot of the megas fun was that they had different abilities, different typings. They felt different than the original version. You know what I mean? So if a lot of these new megas, that's what I'm saying. I'm not against their viability, like because who knows? It doesn't matter what they look like.
But you want something cool. You want something like special.
It just feels like a lot of these megas. Like I don't want to insult like like I said, the Scovillain fans out there, all two of them. Like I don't want to insult them, but like it doesn't feel like Scovillain deserved a mega the same way that like I don't know, Garchomp and and Metagross and all the other cool Pokemon.
Yeah, I think another thing
like
too.
Scolipede looked way like more deserving, looked cooler as a mega than some of these other guys.
I definitely think that there were some megas that felt more intentional in their designs than others. So, like for example, something like Mega Pyroar, like they just like actually I didn't. So like when I look at Pyroar, I'm like, yeah, this one's terrible, right? And I was like, well, if you give it a mega, like there's no way it could be like still bad. Like what I mean? You give it like some kind of buff where like it's like at least like playable. And then I look at Mega Pyroar and I'm like, how is this possible? Like, how is it possible it's still bad?
It's worse because now you don't have specs. Now you don't have Life Orb or something. Right?
No, exactly. And like, I think my problem is like intentionality behind the megas. Like, I have to obviously reserve some judgment for when we see the abilities. But like, for example, like Mega Kang, right, has actually retroactively turned into one of their most well-designed like Pokemon if you think about
100%,
it, because
100%.
The Scrappy buff of now being immune to Intimidate, now Mega Kangaskhan, if you have base Kangaskhan, you can't have Intimidate switch in to reduce its damage, and it can fake out ghost types, and then when it megas it gains Parental Bond. It has like retroactively become one of the best designed Mega Pokemon in terms of viability off of like some ability changes and stuff, which I think is like pretty interesting.
Right, exactly. It is now thematically and mechanically well designed.
Yes.
Like the visual of being the parent, of creating the ability now makes both of them, where some of these are like they just put more stuff on. Like there's nothing about Mega Chandelure that I'm going to say that was a really well intended design that created the abilities viability. You know what I mean?
Hold on. I actually have a counterpoint for you here. So
Sure.
So because I know because I actually did a video where I was theorying what abilities each Mega Pokemon would get, and there's actually a thing in Mega Chandelure's Pokédex that is like, oh, it like feeds off of the hatred and like something with souls, right? So I was like thinking about them, like, could you imagine how cool that would be if they gave that thing Soul Heart, because it's like feeding off the hatred and like energy of like things dying basically, or like, you know what I mean, like, and like when something faints, I would assume it's not like feelings of happiness, right?
Yeah.
So like imagine if like every time there was a knockout on the field, they got like a Soul Heart boost on a mon like that. Like that'd be crazy, right? So I hope that like they really lean into these Pokédex entries to give them something unique. And some of them like hint at stuff that like genuinely I tried really hard to figure out that I couldn't figure out, that makes me like excited and hoping that like they really do give it something interesting. Like for example, Dragonite's like, oh, it's very merciful, and like if its teammates get hurt, it'll still go to help them during a battle regardless, right? And like it'll try to end battles swiftly because it'll try to end battles swiftly to like minimize the opponent's suffering, right? That could be a lot of things. That could be like an ability that makes it do like 1 billion damage, or it could be an ability that like makes it help its teammates if they go red on HP, or like some, you know what I mean? Like there's
be,
like you know,
what's the Stone Journer ability? The
power spot, power spot.
Right, yeah, you're helping. It's like
opposite of
Friend Guard, right? Like by being on the field, your teammate is doing more damage instead of
that'd be kind of crazy. But that's what I'm thinking, right?
I'm cooking, Joe. I'm cooking.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like that part of it, I think is really cool, right? It's just obviously, you know, like I also think of what is it? Actually, okay, I'm just gonna say it anyways. Mega Heatran, right?
Yep.
Mega Heatran. Okay, you know about it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we're not that far out of spoilers, but basically, Mega Heatran. Like, if this thing does not get Earth Eater, I would be shocked. It is literally melted into the ground.
But it'd be so good. It'd be so broken.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I think there's like, even though like, of course, some of them it's like like whatever. Like, I think there's enough like megas that I look at it, I'm like, okay, like the design is cool, so I really hope they're good. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to use them. So.
Yeah, one other thing I want your thoughts on with champions and the megas is like we all know just from our own memories of Mega Gengar, Mega Salamence, Mega Metagross, Kangaskhan, they were just so much better than all the other megas. But like, and they were. I'm not discrediting that they were, but we're going to get into a point where theoretically, like 85 megas are going to be legal.
Yeah.
However many in total. I think the original in Gen 6, I think there were 48 megas made in total. And then we have all the CA megas plus the DLC megas. So like not counting like restricted megas. Like that's a lot of information overload for people trying to learn VGC and all these new abilities and all these base stats. Where like even in X and Y, like they introduced 20 new ones in ORAS, right? There wasn't 48 from the jump. So like they're all not going to be equally viable, right? I understand.
Of course not. Yeah.
84th best mega, you don't have to worry as much as the second or third best megas when team building. But like I look at Z moves, there's 18 types of Z moves, and then you'd have the special Z moves, the signature Z moves, but they were still going off of an original typing. So like let's say 30 Z moves you had to worry about. Dynamax, there's the 18 types on Dynamax, and let's say there was like 20 G Maxes or something, but really there was only maybe 7.
Although the G Maxes were crazy. The G Maxes actually were
so
crazy.
like I'm trying to think like the information overload compared like the amount and Teras, obviously there's only 18 Teras, and then they made Stellar in the DLC, so only 19 things you had to learn about. Like I feel like it's going to be tough for new players when they like to choosing a team to build around a mega and there's 80 options.
Definitely. I think there will be like, I mean, I think that's where like content creation, other stuff comes in mind. Like, of course, like you're going to be exploring other options, but like, I feel like people like as a content creator, like as soon as the megas come out and I get the ability, it's like, I'm gonna be tier listing that immediately. That'll be out expeditiously in your inboxes. You know what I mean? Like it'll be there. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I think like there will be enough information. I think really where that's going to be a challenge is like, how do you actually properly explore all like of those megas to like maximize their potential, right? Because like there will be like, it's kind of like now, like now that we're back in Regulation F, right? Like it's completely different contextually because we have another 3 months and a lot of time to sit on other formats. But like, you know, maybe there's like a Mega Scarlet team that's like insane, right? That like no one ever discovers because there's just not enough time in the rotating formats, right? What I think they could do to actually fix that issue that you're talking about, though, the Mega Pokemon viability, is like basically like bring them in batches. So basically the first like series is like, oh, it's like these megas, like the base megas allowed or whatever, right? And then it's like, then we add this, and then we add more megas, and then we have all of them, right? And then like, and then we add restricteds, and then we add, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like I think like if they scale it properly, there'll be maybe enough like ways to expand it. Or you could even do it like, I think what could be a really interesting way to go about it, right, is like you start with the Pokemon pool and the mega pool being a little bit more limited, and then like it almost like patches, right? Like every month or two you add like a different one in, and I think that'd be kind of cool. So
yeah, I think the rotating formats in Champions are going to be more important than ever. Like it was still important for, you know, to spice up the game and keep people active and, you know, excited for new formats, but like especially in Champions, because you are not releasing all 1,000 whatever 50 Pokemon at the same time, like that cycle of every X amount of months, at like the even just adding like 40 mons to a pool of 300 could drastically change the Pokemon that are or aren't viable, right? We saw the difference of the regular regulations compared to Regulation H. Like there were Pokemon that people were just not using whatsoever for 2.5 years of Scarlet and Violet, who became super mainstay Pokemon in that lower powered format. So like, I'm very excited to see how they add Pokemon to pools, how they take Pokemon out of certain regulations to, you know, like maybe they'll do certain things where this type of Pokemon isn't legal, and then obviously you can have Megas and Z moves legal at the same time, or Megas and Tera, or no Megas and Tera and Z move, or something like. There's so many combinations that they can make endless formats.
Yep, I definitely agree. I think there's a lot of potential. I think what I would say is like, I think one thing that I hope is that they're not afraid to adjust things as needed throughout the like life, I guess the lifetime of like Champions. Because I feel like it's the first game that they've made where you can not do like, I guess like they don't want to change stats like willy-nilly, but even if you don't change stats, right, like you can maybe tweak like what Pokemon are allowed, right, or like make enough meaningful changes where it doesn't feel stale. Because I think really what the point we're at in like, for example, Regulation F now is like at this point we've repeated like 3 formats, I think, like 2 formats, and like it's just like exhausting at that point, you know what I mean? It's like people want like different rule sets, different things going on, right? And it feels like you don't want to like basically just go too crazy, allow everything so quickly, right? And then you have nothing else you can do differently. But I think what'll help is like, again, the sandbox nature. You have, you know, Tera, Z moves, Dynamax, right? You have Megas. You have the option of obviously doing like all 4, although I wouldn't do that ever. But you can do like, you know, you can basically change what's allowed and what's not allowed, right? Like maybe 1 year they focus on Dynamax, right? And, you know, obviously like messing around with that. And then, but I think they'll probably focus on Megas for Champions for what it's worth. Because I just feel like, I feel like Mega and Tera, like if I had to pick any 2 mechanics to be the exclusive mechanics in that game, I would pick Mega and Tera like every time. I think those are the 2 best mechanics that they've made by far. So I'd like to see a format with both of those. And like, I'd be perfectly fine with axing Z moves. Like I'm not the biggest Z move fan anyways. Like I think it's fine, but like it's like, I mean, unless you gave him new animations and everything, then maybe I could be convinced. But like even
maybe a quicker Ultra Necrozma Z move animation this time around. Take a little less time, you know.
Oh, I actually had it's funny for Necrozma. I think they should change it from a like Z move thing to a Mega. I think that'd be kind of cool. So like it could be used. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Like it holds it. If it
the Necrozite or something,
Megastone,
the Necrozite or whatever,
it transforms on the field like Primal Groudon and Kyogre do, right?
Yeah, something like that, I guess.
I can see that. I was thinking the other thought, like you can make it as broken as Rayquaza, right? It has to hold a certain attack, like to be able to activate the.
Well, also Ultra Necrozma would be really awkward to play now because if you think about it, right, like how does it fit? Like Calyrex Shadow is just better than it. Like in terms of like fast, like Astral just obliterates it, so it's not even the fastest Psychic-Mon anymore. So like I feel like, I don't know, like I guess, and also too, it can't even really run like Ultra Necronium Z if you think about it, because like okay, it has to take a turn to Z, and then it has to Z move, but like Calyrex Shadow can just click Astral Barrage and Expanding Force turn 1. Like who cares? Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting because some months just change in context with like all the new Pokemon introduced as well. So
yeah, it's just certain Pokemon are gonna, even if they did make nerfs, right? Like they nerfed Aegislash after Gen 6 and because it was so broken, and then now here it is. Like even if he kept it at 150 on the defenses, like it still just wouldn't be able to compete. It would just be too slow with its ability.
It's crazy. They nerfed Cress and Aegislash, and it's like like bro, like we just like completely like nerfed the wrong guys. Like they were like fine, I guess, but like you know, they're still okay. They still like can survive, I guess, but like it's like why are we just like nerfing them randomly out of all things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they took one for the team for everyone else's crimes. Yep. And then Salamence got every single Aerolate, Pixelate, Refrigerate nerfed independently. Like, you know, if I was a Pokemon that had like my own version of Aerolate and like I lost out on damage just because Salamence was clicking Hyper Voice for no reason, I'd be so upset. Like I needed that extra 10%, you know?
Yeah.
But you were talking about Regulation F, and I think this is where we segue from ZA back to our current VGC timeline here, and some of the discussions, and you know, I think one of the things about you, Joe, which I always appreciate, is you are very optimistic on Twitter about the current format, typically. Like, usually people are hating on stuff and they hate this Pokemon and they say this sucks. And you're like, no, I'm having fun. I think this is fun. I think this is a good format. And I think Regulation F this second go round might be one of the first times that you have not necessarily been vocally supportive of the current format on Twitter. So I wonder, what about Reg F 2.0 is so different from all the other formats that you vocally support that everyone also hates?
Okay, so I'll put it this way, right? So like let's think of like Regulation H, right? Like you have your meta like balance stuff, right? And then you think of like what are like the extra teams that are like good in that format, right? You got like Marco Sun, you know, you have like, you know, even like the T-Tar Exca stuff I was using, like Lilligant for Giraffe Torkoal, and then it's like, oh, okay, my version of a non-balanced team in this format that's also good is like Fluttermane, Arcanine, Ogerpon, Landorus, Raging Bolt, and like, well, I'm like, bro, like, are we serious? Or like, let's think of like, what's like a cool like anti-meta Tailwind team, right? That like, I'm gonna ignore the Regidrago Crown stuff because I think it's bad right now. I'm saying that's like actually good. Like, Hearthflame, Goldingo, Regidrago, Torn, Ursh, Rillaboom. Like, bro, like we just said the same mons. Like we just added like one. It's like basically you prepared the same dish, but you threw like one little different like pot of spice on it, and it's like, nah, but it's different though. You know what I mean? Though. Like literally, my problem with this format is that like the quote unquote coolest innovations come from you like changing one move on like a standard mon, or like running like maybe a spicy Pokemon with like 5 other meta Pokemon. And like there are some like rare exceptions, right? So for example, like the Crown Drago team, which I was talking about, but even that team, right? You think of like Indeedee Iron Crown, right? They have to be together. Then you have Tornadus, right? You have Regidrago, which like, sure, Regidrago is like unique, whatever, even though it's kind of not at this point, right? And then you have Urshifu Ogerpon, right? Like I can't think of a single team that can like escape the curse of having to have at least like 3 or 4 of the like top meta Pokemon on them. Like I think you actively put yourself at a disadvantage. And like when I think of like Regulation H and I'm like Jumpluff Torkoal, like Garchomp, you know what I mean? Like whatever. Or I think of like Regulation C, I'm like Great Tusk Chien-Pao, like you know what I mean? Jumpluff Torkoal. And maybe people don't like Jumpluff Torkoal. But even in Regulation C, we don't look at New Balance, right? Besides New Balance, you have a bunch of other teams that are viable as well. You have James Evans running Iron Hands, Goldingo, Talonflame. You have the Chien-Pao, Talonflame, Tusk teams running around, right? Then I go back to Regulation F, and my opponent's clicking Calm Mind with Raging Bolt, Incineroar Fake Out, cycle back to Rillaboom, man. It's just not for me, you know?
Joseph, Mr. Ugarte.
Oh, I already sensed, Joe. You got like, you were like charging like a blast there.
Yeah, this is my power herb going off. To have it go off in one turn. How many Regulation F tournaments were the top 6 Pokemon in the meta were in usage were just the same team of 6? It was like the entirety of Reg H 2.0 was the top 6 was just people using those exact 6 on the team. So we're talking about versatility and, you know, the amount of Pokemon that are good, that are at the top level. I do agree. Reg F has a lot of, let's say there's there's 15 Pokemon that seem like better than the rest, right? Like I will agree with you there. I then don't disagree that Reg H also had the same problem, that it felt like, and we're talking about feelings here, that it felt like the best Pokemon in Regulation H also were just better than the other Pokemon that you could use in Regulation H, right?
Well, I have a question for you, Joe. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the LAIC Top Cut, for example, right? So obviously you're saying you feel like there's a lot of same Pokemon. Instant Rillaboom, for example, was really common, right? Or at least like it's more common in that format, right? So out of the top 8, Instant Rillaboom made up. Oh, I have it up here. I'll actually pull it up for you so you can see it.
There you go.
Just for comparison.
I need a visual help.
Yeah, visual here. I got you. Okay. So listen, right? So here, right? Let's look at the teams. They are all so much more unique in premise than like if I'm going to pull up a Regulation F tournament for comparison after this, by the way, because I think that's also important, right? So you can fairly show the context of both, right? But let's say we're looking at this, right? So we have Flamigo, Typhlosion, Tailwind, right? With Blursa. I will say there was a lot of Blursa in top 8. I will like, give you that, right?
I'm glad you saw the big bear. Yeah.
But we got like Flamigo, right? This is a pretty cool Pokemon to be winning. This isn't winning in Regulation F, right? We can agree, right? Yep. We look at like the second team. This is basic. Absolutely Juan VC 100%. This is basic stuff, right? Then you look here, Yuyatada's team, yes, was Incineroar on the team 100%. This is not very standard, right? This is like, we're talking Pelipper, Arch, Rain stuff with like max speed, Timid, Archaludon. We got like Sinnoh, Blursa for a draft, like a weird mixed match between the teams. Maybe there's also because Japan was there as well, for what it's worth. Then we got Theotime running a standard team again, right? So we got 2 standard teams out of the top 8, basically, right? And then we have Oliver Escalin running a Sun team with Venusaur. That's pretty unique.
Which was so awesome, yeah.
We have Screens Grimmsnarl, Justin Tang, right? Also unique in the meta. We have my Sun team, which, you know, was represented by someone else, which kind of made me like cry a couple tears of sadness. And then we have in top 8, Gabriel Agati using a balanced team that has Politoed and Ninetales on it next to Basculegion, which even though it doesn't look that cool, that's pretty freaking cool that you have double weather control with a Basculegion like this kind of core, in my opinion, right? Okay. So like even the iterations of balance, right? They still have like
that same balance team win 4 regionals in a row.
That's Europe though, man. That doesn't count. That'll happen anywhere. Listen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's Europe, man. You know what I mean? We can't argue against that. Anyways, so point being, right, is that like the cut here is pretty diverse, right? And then like let's take a look, for example, at like the last. I'm gonna pull up the last tournament here. Victory Road. Actually, I have it in our messages. Let me go pull that up real quick.
Yeah, the Victory Road 3, right? Challenge 3 in
December. Victory Road Challenge 3. Yes, exactly. So I'll put it here. I don't know if I can change it to that. Here you go. Let's look at like the Victory Road Challenge 3. Okay. So.
Yep.
All right. We have Raging Bolt, Arcanine stuff, right? And the main difference is Golden Go, I think, is a unique thing, right? Then we have Rillaboom, Incin, Ogerpon. Then we have the same team again the second time, right? Here with Raging Bolt balance. Then we have a kind of unique team, but still running Raging Bolt, right? It has AV, but it is Sun, so it's different, right? It is different enough. You need to include some kind of standard stuff. Then you have, again, Raging Bolt balance here, right? Then we move down. We have Gouging Fire Tinglu, which is also a pretty standard team. That's not a special team. That's a very standard team, right? Then we have Sun, which again is unique, right? We have P2 Ursa with a little bit of spice with the Glade, you know, or like the Iron Valiant, you know, throwing it on there. Spice. And then we have like Tailwind with like, and this is like considered a like different team. And we're looking at like the most standard 6 Pokemon of all time on this like quote unquote different team. Like, is there a single Pokemon here, Joe, that you look at that you're like, wow, this is crazy? Like,
you know what is funny actually is that Landorus Therian has become like the
wild, this is crazy Pokemon.
It's like, you know, Landorus is like the former boxing champion. Like they make a biopic of his movie, like he was on top of the world and now he's nothing. So now it is like a kind of a triumph whenever you see Lando.
Yeah. It's like he fought back. Yeah. Or like, bro, like here, right? Like, bro, Amoonguss, Instant, Urshifu, Ursaluna, P2, like Torin, like, whoa, put me to sleep. Or like here, bro, you kidding me? This is the unique team that we have in this format. We have Indeedee, Smeargle, Hatterene as like the pinnacle of like, this is creativity. I know, sorry, I'm being really negative in this, but you know what I'm saying? Like, look at this. This is insane. Look, Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Instant, Landorus, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt. Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Instant, Urshifu, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt. Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Landorus, Urshifu, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt. Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Instant, Urshifu, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt. We had 4 teams in a row that basically the only difference is they like subbed out one of their main hitters for another hitter that hits the exact same Pokemon, which is Incineroar, by the way. So like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like so like uninspired. Like, and you look at like some of the quote unquote like inspired teams, right? Like, oh, Dondozo, Tatsugiri, Cress, Ursa, like Chen Pao, Dragonite, right? That like, bro, we just threw up like 222 on our screen and remixed the pieces. You know what I mean? Like,
there's an Iron Boulder on your screen right now.
Okay, but okay, Joe. Listen. You're like rage baiting me, man. You're rage baiting me. This is like I just know you're rage baiting me. It's one team. Like, that's crazy, you know?
So I'm just saying, when a string of consecutive Pokemon in Regulation H come together, you say, oh, but there's so much diversity in how those teams are built. They're actually, you know, different and it's not as bad. But then we have a string of the same Pokemon in Regulation F, then therefore it is bad. What I'm arguing, Joe, is that both of these two formats are very top heavy. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Right.
I'm saying they are essentially the same to me, and the frustrations that you or Tang or others have about Calm Mind Raging Bolts, which I understand the frustrations, are the frustrations I had about Archaludon, especially in the beginning of Reg H 2.0. I think it obviously fell off as the format developed, but I found playing against Archaludon teams just as infuriating as you guys feel playing into Raging Bolt.
I would put it this way, right? So with something like Archaludon Rain, right? Or like Archaludon in general, right? You would find it infuriating, right? Because it's like, obviously maybe it's good into what you're using, like that kind of stuff, right? My argument to counter that would be, have you ever had a Pokemon in any format that has had as much versatility as Fluttermane and Raging Bolt, where they can essentially be incorporated onto any team for pretty much no drawback? Besides Incineroar, because Incineroar moves shield,
yeah,
of
I was
course.
going to say, when you say versatility, you mean like the amount of moves and
Like,
sets they can use?
Sets, moves, items, right? Flutter can run Special Attack Booster. It can run Booster Speed. It can run Specs. It can run Sash on Sun.
I like
right?
this. Continue, yeah.
Raging Bolt, Calm Mind, and it's just Booster Energy and Leftovers, and then Assault Vest, right? And then sometimes Life Orb. If it's spicy, it'll have Life Orb, maybe, right?
All right. So I'm picking up what you're putting down, Joe.
Yes.
Fluttermane is too versatile, and it does too many things too well, and it is too dominant in the Regulation F format. So why did everyone and their mother complain that we didn't get the 80% usage Fluttermane format in Regulation C? See, because how you set me up there for that one, Joe.
Right, exactly. Right, and I can give you the exact reasoning why. Because if we look back at Regulation C, right, and we look at the teams that did well, right, even though Fluttermane was as high usage as it was, the teams felt different. When you think, I don't know if you like remember like the NAIC 23 cut, right?
Yeah.
But like every team in that cut felt different, right? Like you were able to like run a lot of different strategies. Yes, was Fluttermane objectively one of the best Pokemon? 100%. But it was like the equivalent, in my opinion, of having like Incineroar on every team. It just because Incineroar is on every team doesn't mean the rest of the team doesn't look cool. But with something like Fluttermane and Raging Bolt, they're so strong that like it polarizes it to where like every team needs one of them, if not both of them, basically. So it cuts down on your amount of like variation that you can incorporate onto a team. Not to mention, right, that there's never been a format where, in my opinion, right, the balance compositions have been like clearly better than anything else you can run, right? I think if you're a top player and you are confident that you can outplay someone, it is objectively correct for you to play balance in this format or play like the Fluttermane, Booster Fluttermane, Arcanine, Ogerpon comp over playing something different, in my opinion.
I think that Reg H balance team was just as much better than everybody else. Like,
do you think
that top six?
Well, do you think, okay, because I guess that goes into you. So you think it's like just as oppressive, right? Do you think that like in nature, Raging Bolt and Ursaluna are the same Pokemon? Because I think like Raging Bolt as a Pokemon is way more oppressive in its kit. Its stats are absurd,
sure,
right? In comparison.
But it's also because of 4 years of terrestrializing too. Raging Bolt, it's still a great Pokemon, obviously, in Thunderclap, and it's still going to work in future generations. But the fact that it gets out of its actual weaknesses and becomes a fairy type, and you sit there, Dragon Pulsing each other in the mirror match, waiting for the other one to terrestrialize into a fairy type or not, like that also, I think, has hurt some of Scarlet and Violet's viability in some of these formats. Is that I feel like Paul Revere letting everyone know, we're going to play champions, and for some amount of format, some amount of time, we are not just going to be able to get out of our glaring weaknesses from a get out of jail free button every single game turn one. And I think it's going to be a very difficult adjustment for a lot of people that have played the last 3.5 years of VGC. Like, Raging Bolt is super strong, but it's also allowed to be this strong because of terrestrializing.
Yeah, I mean, well, to that point, right? And this is also another explanation as to why I think Regulation F is more annoying. When, let's say you have the balance mirrors in Regulation H, right? Like, you play a balance mirror. Like, what is the nature of that mirror? Usually one person's going to try and work in their Acro Sneasler. It's going to get set up. Maybe it'll do enough damage, maybe it won't, but it's not particularly bulky where it sticks around forever, right? Mm-hmm. Regulation F, in comparison, if you have 2 freaking Raging Bolts in front of each other and 2 Incins, basically, there's like 3 interactions that matter, right? How fast is the bolts against each other? How fast are the Incins against each other, right? And then does one of the Incin have taunt, and is it faster, right? Than the bolt and the Incin, right? So essentially, all of your mirrors, and of course there are ways to play around it, even if it's not in your favor, but it is very difficult if, like, for example, maybe there's like a couple of advantages on both sides, and the game ends up with like Tera Fairy, Calm Mind, Bolt facing down each other, and there's no way to knock each other out, basically, right? That's very uninteractive, in my opinion, right? Like, at least with like the balance in, like,
something that Arch Out On also ran into very often in Regulation H, when you Tera Fairy there and you just sat on the field for 14 turns.
But I think the difference with Archaludon is that because it's less statted than something like Raging Bolt, it's not as annoying. Like, think about it like this, right? Like, you have Raging Bolt, it Calm Minds, right? You do like maybe like 70% with Earth Power to it, right? Leftovers heals it up 12% with Grassy Terrain. They protect it. It switches into Incin, right? It heals up another 12%. Now it's at like 55%, right? Fake Out. Now they go for another Calm Mind. They're at 70%. They protect again. They switch back to Rillaboom, right? And now they're at like 88%. You Earth Power them, and now you do like 55, 60%. That is not fun interactive gameplay, right? At least with something like Archaludon, I can respect it, because one, you have to work yourself into a position where you could pop bomb yourself if you get that off, right? Or spam a bunch of Electro Shots, and it's not unkillable, right? It is not sitting there with Grassy Terrain recovering it for 12% every single turn. And, might I add, right, giving you a priority electric move, so something can't even attack you properly if you get set up enough. So you have to literally build your teams to cheese that one specific Pokemon with, like, Tera Fairy, Follow Me, and Didi, right? Because they can't hit it. Or like Tera Fairy, Rage Powder, Amoonguss. If you don't respect Raging Bolt balance, you are legit sacking your tournament to some random person who could just run the most broken mons in the format. And this isn't like balance in H, because balance in H, if you're bad with that team, you'll get absolutely obliterated, right? I think the tools are way more broken in this format, where like you can get away with playing badly with those mons and go further, in my opinion.
I think I totally understand where you're coming from and other people's frustrations with the format. Like, I think where I would say the top 12 to 15 of Regulation F are so clearly superior than the other 700, 800 Pokemon that are available that, like, it is very daunting. And to me, my thought is the top 10 of Regulation H are so clearly superior to the other 500 Pokemon that are available that, to me, the argument of this top 15 is so meta defining compared to this top 10. To me, they're both very oppressive top formats.
I can perfectly explain
top
to you.
Heavy formats.
I can perfectly explain to you the difference for me between those 2 points. So in Regulation H, right, I used pretty decently unique teams, right? But I felt like I still had to run like some good Pokemon to make them work, right? So the extent of my meta Pokemon that would fit on the team would have to be only like 1 or 2, right? And then the rest of the pieces could be unique if they worked into what was popular, right? In this format, if I want to use something that feels like you know what I mean, unique, right?
Yeah.
I even tried to use sand, for example, right? The only way that I could even remotely make it work was by putting Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Incin, and then Raging Bolt, right? So essentially, I've just made an inferior version of the best 4 core of Pokemon with a worse ground type, basically. Whereas in other formats, I could run 2 meta Pokemon, but then make a completely unique concept, right? Different from what the other Pokemon were doing. That's basically the difference for me, right? It's like I am forced to basically put at least 4 meta Pokemon on my team every single time to compete with the other ones for the most part, right? There are some exceptions, of course, to anything, right? Like, of course, there's probably some team, like Dondozo teams, for example, get away with it a little bit, right? Or like hard Trick Room teams kind of get away with it because they use Pokemon that are suited for it, right? But very rarely, right, in this format, are you able to deviate from having like minimum 3 to 4 of the really strong meta Pokemon on your team every single time.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think we're two sides of the same coin here at this at this point. One of these new Regulation F Pokemon that I've been trying to build around, like to the point you just brought up of you have to use a whole bunch of standard mons to try to make your off meta mon work, is Galarian Moltres. And I had been using it in our OHKO draft league all season. Like, I just been having a lot of fun with it. I was having a blast, and I'm like, man, this is really cool. Maybe we'll use it in Regulation F. And then this was a couple months ago, and I looked, and there was like really no results from my memory from the first Regulation F go round of Galarian Moltres. And then over this the last month or so, more people have been using it. They got second in that the one tournament that you and Tang played the team on YouTube, and we're going back and forth, and it had Thunder Wave, Fluttermane, and Choice Specs, Fiery Wrath, and stuff like that. And when I could actually pull the OHKO team up here, like to back up your point. Where's our paste? The team is, we have Galarian Moltres, and I forced Ogerpon Cornerstone onto the team because I have to. When I'm building teams, I put Cornerstone on it. Fluttermane, Raging Bolt, Urshifu, Incineroar.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
But I have Moltres though. Isn't that cool?
But you see what I'm saying? Like, that's just like so, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so boring, man. Like, I look at, like, you know, or like, for example, think about it like this, man. The craziest meta innovation that's happened this month, and this is like, you know, like the cavemen discovering fire back in like the old age, was like us putting Thunder Wave on a booster Fluttermane with Bold Nature. That was the most interesting innovation that happened this month. We're talking like, oh, in the previous format, like, oh, Sand won a tournament, or like, oh, Lily Cole, like, for a draft, like, Torkoal is, like, actually pretty good right now, or, like, this random team. And now we're sitting here, we're like, yo, Fluttermane, the most broken Pokemon, can run Thunder Wave, and it can run Bold Nature instead, so it can live even more hits. Like, that's just, like what are we doing, bro? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so goofy.
We're too in the weeds, man. We need champions to come
all of that to
tomorrow,
say,
bro.
All that to say, I will still be there in Toronto, and I will still be there at EUIC anyways. Doesn't matter. I'll still be playing.
Doesn't matter. You'll be playing there with your 4 meta Pokemon and 2 off meta.
Also, Joe, to show you how deep it runs for me, that like I really think it is optimal. Think about this, Joe. I ran Farigiraf, Raging Bolt Balance in the last VR because I genuinely felt like it was one of the only teams that felt good. I ran Balance.
Wow. That's saying something.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and it's not even like actually, I talked to Marco, for example. He's like, I don't think Raging Bolt Balance is the best team, but like, also he basically brought like Balance to to the invitational thing, which I guess we haven't talked about yet, but he also brought Balance to the invitational thing. Like, I think it's just like, I don't know, it's such a consistent safe team, and like I think like it'll do even better this time around because it's just really good.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think just as I'm looking at the clock, I don't know if we're gonna have time to talk about the invitationals, just because we're always yapping, we're having a good time, and
just enjoy talking to you too much, Joe.
Listen, I love it. You're
so much
my
to talk
guy.
about.
I'm always rooting for you. Let's talk, because we haven't been able to talk too much since Vegas, and so you had a good run in Vegas, and we had you on stream and everything, and we had fun. I was in the analyst area talking about student stuff, and obviously I used the Tyranitar team, and then you made your own Tyranitar team, and I even brought up that like when I did coaching with you, like the 6 mons that you suggested back in when I was coaching with Pittsburgh ended up being the team that you used in Vegas, right? So how was that? How was your Vegas experience where you were impacting the meta in a non-Sun related way, where like people usually associate you with Sun, right? But this time around, like you were the Sand guy.
I didn't really realize how nice Pokemon felt when like your teams were like had the luck always skewed in your favor. So what I mean by this is like, okay, like to put this in the context, right? When I'm clicking like Sleep Powder, right? Like it's high risk, high reward, right? I click Sleep Powder. If I connect, it's phenomenal, right? But then I have to worry like, oh man, well, what if they wake up on this turn? What if they don't? Like whatever. Then I'm sitting there with my Sand team. I'm like, oh, I don't want this Pokemon to move. Dire Claw Iron Head right now into this D-Knight. Hey, listen. There's a 50% chance the status is going to activate. It could be Para, it could be Poison, it could be Sleep. If I roll Sleep, it doesn't move. If I roll Para, now it has a 25% chance not to move. And if Ironhead flinches, there's another 30% chance it doesn't move. There are so many Dragonites I just ripped like Ironhead Dire Claw into, or I just, switch to Corviknight and Earthquake and get damage and don't have to worry about like getting hacked out, like, you know what I mean, by missing, or like I guess hacking someone out, I guess you could say as well, by like clicking Sleep Powder. It was actually genuinely one of the most enjoyable, smooth tournament experiences I had, because never did I ever have to worry about like, oh, what if I connect this? What if I don't? I mean, I missed the high horsepower against Justin Tang actually, but besides that, like I was like basically like, oh, it's so nice when like almost all of your moves are going to land all the time, and the only thing that can like basically screw you over is like you playing bad, or like maybe having a bad matchup, or like if the Dire Claw gods do not love you, basically, right? So like when I was playing my top 8 versus Zachary Carlson, right? Like, and I was just clicking Dire Claw, I was having the most fun I've ever had in a top 8 in my life. I'm like, dude, like I'm clicking the optimal play, and like if it works, it works. If not, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like this is great. You know what I mean? Now, of course, I was talking to Marco after. He's like, okay, you probably could have found a more optimal game plan. And I was like, you're probably right, but I was like, also, I'm clicking Dire Claw and I'm sleeping things. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm enjoying myself. Like it feels so good to be on the other side of this and making your opponent's game miserable for them. Like it's great. Like it's like Dire Claw Sleep, Dire Claw Para, great. I don't got to worry about that. You know what I mean? It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself a lot. It was very cool.
I like that you're basically like, you know what? I get what Riley's talking about. These accurate moves, they're pretty
yeah.
awesome.
I mean, listen, and VGC history buffs will know there actually was a period of time where I actually aligned with Riley's thought process of the format, and I ran his team in Regulation E. There was a period of time
you guys were crushing it
where we were running the same team, and that's because I think, by the way, I think that is one of the best teams of Scarlet and Violet of all time. I think Riley's Regulation E team is one of the like best teams that didn't win a major back there, or at least like didn't win like, you know what I mean, like a serious like international. I think that team genuinely had like one of the best like flow of like any team I've played, basically. Like I felt like it was actually very, very well made. And yeah, like I mean, like the Sand team actually felt exactly like that for me as well. So that was like a nice experience.
That team was really fun. I mean, just Riley was on I remember was looking the stats up. I think he had top 8'd 6 consecutive events, which 5 of them were, or it was either 6 of 7 events, and 5 of those were regionals. One was the LASC that year, and then the one that he didn't, he got top 16.
Yeah, exactly, right.
The
like
regional that he missed top 8 on. So like it's just the most consistent.
Yeah, it was San Antonio. I remember it was San Antonio because we both played the team, and he lost to Z, I'm pretty sure, and then I played Z immediately in top 8. And actually, funny story or like anecdote about that, actually. So he was like, yeah, I kept leading Chin Pao Ursh, and like eventually, like at the end, you have to play a 50-50. I just lost. I was like, well, why didn't you lead Chin Pao King Gambit and like just like 50-50 turn 1? He's like, well, I would rather like not at the 50-50 on turn 1, but I'm like, but if you have the 50-50 at the end of the game, I was like, why not just 50-50 on turn 1? He's like, yeah, I guess. So, like, basically versus Z, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to win 2 50-50s in a row. And then, like, and I won both 50-50s in a row, basically. And I won the set off of that, pretty much. And yeah, I told Riley after, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna play the 50-50s out front, bro. Like I'm not doing like, you know, like 75% of the work into just like having to win a 50-50 at the end. Like I'm just gonna end the game immediately, and like if I get it, I get it, and if I don't, I don't, you know.
You are spoken like a true sleep pattern player. Because you're like, hey, I'll go for the sleep pattern now at turn 1, and then it'll help me figure out the rest of the game. Why wait to deal with the RNG? You know, just get it out of the way.
Exactly. Like you can't be afraid of it. You just gotta like sometimes like I think this is with any team though. Sometimes you just gotta be able to rip it. Like there were like some matchups with the Sand team where like it was very similar. Like I would straight up just like be like, okay, I need to lead a 50-50 lead here, and I need to like kind of nail the turn properly. And I'm like, that's fine. That's how the team was designed, right? Like versus Ryan Lozetto on stream, because you saw that match, you were doing the analyst desk, right? Like turn one, like if he just terrors his Basket Legion as I Terra Dark Throat Chop it and wave crashes my Sneasler, I probably just lose turn one. But like I'm like, you can't, like there's some teams that you just have to play like where you're just willing to do that, right? Like if you want to play a specific way. So like I think teams that I use like make me feel comfortable with doing those kind of plays and being fine with it, you know?
Yeah, and if we go back to the top 8 match in Vegas, I don't know if you got a chance to catch my analyst breakdown afterwards of that match for you and Zach, but it was Jake and I were talking about the set, and like I think I even made the joke that was like that like Tyranitar must have stolen Zach's lunch money or something because he had 3 close combats on his team. So I was wondering, like, was there any lines of trying to play without Tyranitar, even though it is so pivotal, just because there is so much anti-T-Tar hate on that team?
So there's like a bit of nuance in that set that like no one knew. So my Sneasler is like, it looks very frail, or like, because it doesn't matter now because the format's way over. But basically my Sneasler was like 212 defense or something, and like no one knew about it because I had like no speed on it basically, or like very little speed. So it was like, it didn't have any HP investment, or like barely any HP investment. So you look at it and you'd assume it's like, oh, okay. Like if you see it on stream, like, okay, it's just max. So Zach was playing under the assumption that our Lilligant and Sneasler were speed tying in Chlorophyll and me with Psychic Terrain.
Yeah.
But like I had the information that was just not the case, right? That was just absolutely not the case. And versus Montana, actually, I played the matchup as well. But I'm not going to lie, like because I talked to Montana after, and like I should not have lost. Like that matchup's very good for them because of the 3 close combats. They have so many ways to actually neutralize Tyranitar. You have to get a lot of calls right. And I was able to beat Montana because Montana kind of threw, to be honest, like just low-key overthought it. The same way that I was like the information of like knowing the Sneasler interactions or whatever, it was like kind of like that. But yeah, I think like if that information's known in the matchup, like Zach probably wins like even more times. But I think Zach was going for a lead basically that like if my Sneasler won the speed tie, would still give Zach a chance to win the game essentially. And I think that was like kind of the interesting part of it. Basically, was like there's a lot of nuance with EVs and stuff, but like yeah, my Sneasler was very deceptively bulky. Like it could actually live a lot of hits. It's just people didn't know because of the way it like presents itself on stream. I actually really like using Pokemon like that, where like you can't tell if they have a lot of bulk sometimes because, for example, right, you just assume there's like no bulk on it, so you just attack it, or like you assume it's going to be like fast or whatever, and then it lives something crazy and you're like, wait, actually it's pretty bulky, you know? So I think it's just kind of a cool aspect of it.
And then the other thing with that team, I brought up with Jake in the segment that I've just noticed over the years of your more offensive player and some of your player tendencies, and we brought up that a lot of times just in game 3s, I don't know if it's just on stream or just in general how you play because you're more offensive. A lot of game 3 turn 1s, you do Tera and just like go for the throat right away. And I think that was one thing that Zach used in that set. And I remember like Justin Karras and Charlotte that finals, Andrew Zhang in Louisville that finals. Like a lot of times, I don't know if is that a conscious tendency that you're aware of, that oftentimes you are turn 1 Tera going for the win in a game 3 scenario? And is that something that you think other, like if me and Jake were aware, because we were talking about it on stream, like we're aware of that tendency of you as a player, do you think that maybe other times other players can use that tendency against you?
Well, I think there's a funny anecdote about the Andrew Zhang one, because I think sometimes like when I Tera, it's like it feels objectively correct in the scenario. I mean, of course, like at least like based on how I'm looking at the turn. Andrew Zhang, obviously it's a big stream moment, right? People always talk about like he makes the prediction, he close combats to jump left. I actually asked him after the game, like I was like, oh, why did you close combat jump left? He was like, I didn't even think you were gonna Tera. He was like, I was just covering a switch, like that. So like obviously like I know the context that like, oh yeah, he just like was covering a switch. It wasn't like him reading it, but like obviously like it's an outside world. They're like, oh my god, he just made this crazy read, right? But I think there's, I don't know, it's like there's sometimes like I think there's been situations where like it looks like I get read on like the Tera turn 1 or like a crazy play turn 1, but it's like the opponent either making a cover play or like seeing something completely different than what I'm seeing, and that usually being the result. I'm pretty sure versus Zach, to be honest though, I think it was less a result of me burning Tera early and more of a result of like it was just a very volatile turn 1, right? Like I can switch in DD and Dire Claw, I can do a couple different things, right? I could switch in Tyranitar, but like realistically, you're almost always going to be like trading something pretty big on turn 1, and I felt like really it just came down to like on that turn 1, like who's getting more value, right? And like are you actually able to like convert off of it? I felt like it was a really big deal, you know?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I think overall it's always fun to have you on the pod. It's always a blast. I hope you hope we get to hang out in Toronto. You know, I know where you'll be.
Of
You know
course,
where
of
I'll
course
be.
we will.
You
Of course
know,
we will.
so
Yep.
you're too big now. I get it.
Whoa, whoa! Hey.
I think about the times before big time Ugarte, when we were chilling at the low tables, talking about our cool teams, having fun, just being dudes named Joe that like Pokemon, and now you're out here traveling the world. You're going to Japan for like non-official events and things, like just to play VGC. Like you're crushing it, man.
Hey man, like listen, don't forget, I sat down in that hotel lobby in Pittsburgh and I argued with you over Dondozo being a balanced Pokemon for 2 hours. So I still make time for you, Joe. You know what I'm saying?
True. That is true. Yep. Yeah. I was talking with Tyson about that too. What a legendary time that was in Pittsburgh. Let's get to our question of the week at the end of our podcast. For those who don't know, it is the first time this year we're having a podcast, right? So at the end of every episode, we answer one question of the week from one of our Discord members. So join up here, linked down below. You can join our Discord. And if you have any burning questions for myself, Sierra, or our guests this week, like Joe, make sure you ask that in that Discord. So this week is going to come from Split Second. I'm gonna change the wording around, make it a little bit simpler here. But from Split Second, he wants to know, Joe, if we get a Legends Celebi game or a Legends Johto game that people have always theorized about, what gimmick or mechanic would you like to introduce in that game or reintroduce in that game? For example, Split Second has a really cool idea about how Celebi has time travel, and before ZA was in the future, Arceus was in the past, right? We thought maybe Celebi could introduce more Paradox Pokemon from future and past timelines.
I think Paradox would actually be pretty sick. That would kind of be the game to do it as well, right? I don't want to steal the answer though, so I'll think of something else.
Listen, it's fine, yeah. Like, then you get the Raging Bolt and Walking Wake and Gouging Fire, right? Instead of the you get more of a backstory on those.
I think Pokemon. What could be really cool is basically a mechanic in the game. This isn't related to battling, where your Celebi can change the environment based on like changing the time you're in. So like, for example, let's say there's a bridge that's decayed and like broken, right? If you like make Celebi take you like 50 years in the future or 50 years in the past before the bridge was broken, and then you can walk across the bridge and then reverts time back to where you are to do what you need to do. So basically like kind of in like other games, how like sometimes you travel between like 2 dimensions or whatever to get somewhere, kind of like playing around with that idea, with the time idea. Basically, if like a bridge is broken, you reverse back time, or like maybe like, you know what I mean? It's like some plot with like trying to catch, like almost like Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time, right? Where the villains were like traveling across time, like that kind of thing. I think would be really cool if they were doing some Celebi themed. Like,
I think that would be awesome. I think it kind of like a Link Between Worlds too, right? Depending on if you're in the past or in the current time with Link, like some of the things like that would open up so many great puzzle aspects for the design team. And I think one thing that at least I feel, I don't know if you feel the same way, that I kind of miss the amount of puzzles that we would have in our JRPG Pokemon games. Like we don't, we kind of just, maybe it's because of the 3D or just they don't want to, they don't want to deal with it. But like the gym leader battles, you think about, for all the negatives you can say about the early generations, like there was a lot of gated RPG progression of like, you couldn't do this until you acquired this. You couldn't do this till you figured out this puzzle. Like certain gyms, you had to go in a specific order, right, to do it. And we have lost a lot of that puzzle thing. So kind of the way you're explaining, where Celebi changing the timeline.
Like a puzzle.
If you're in a dungeon or something, right, and you need to get across the bridge, but it's decayed, so he goes in the past, and the dungeon walks past, and then you go back to the current timeline. I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking. Oh, also too, another thing I really like about Pokemon games, I would hope if they ever did like a Legends like Johto game with like Celebi, would be like more of the like playing around with like timelines, like how the main character interacts with them. Like one of the coolest moments of Scarlet and Violet, I think, is when you actually give I think it's Professor Briar, I don't know, whatever the crazy woman is that takes you into the den with Terapagos and writes about everything.
Yeah, Briar, yep.
And then you go to the terrestrial pond after the post game, and Turo appears because he like figures out his time machine, and he appears in front of you, and he's like, oh, he's like, this book looks crazy. Like, can I have it? I'll trade you the Violet book. So basically, you set all the events of Scarlet and Violet in motion by giving him the book that makes him want to write the Violet book, and then obviously like do all that stuff. So it's pretty cool because I feel like the like nicest part about it really is that like it kind of puts like a whole bow on the story. You basically like, because Scarlet and Violet was basically all about like past and future. So I like that they really leaned into it and basically like created a time paradox with your main character. Like if your main character didn't exist, then like Professor Turo or Sada would have never ever like made the time machine. Right. So I think that was like kind of a cool aspect of it, you know?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. It tied the bow. A lot of time travel stuff. Usually, you have to have that central circular moment, right, to put it all together. I think for my answer, just to be different on the question of the week, because I do think the paradox is a great choice from you. Like, it's hard with Johto, right? Because the remakes were Gen 4, and obviously the first time was Gen 2. So like we haven't really had Johto as a region with the gimmicks, right? Megas were Gen 6 and X and Sun and Moon had the Z moves and stuff, like, so there's not something we can really compare Johto to, like what would it be. So like I'm thinking Z moves might be cool if you go off of that time thing, like certain Z moves that Celebi could have equipped or your Pokemon could have equipped can change things, and then even more of the specialty Z moves, right? Like the Mimikyu Z and the Snow. Like if they focused harder on those individual Z moves, giving Ho-Oh something specific, giving Lugia something, like if Lugia Psychinium Z is like Luginium Z, but it also sets up Rain Dance or something like that, right? Like so it's a psychic attack that also sets up Rain Dance, and then like Ho-Oh gets uses Flyinium Z where it uses a flying attack but also sets up the sun or something like that. Like I think the Johto decks, especially since you're going to have Gouging Fire, Raging Bolt, and Walking Awake in that storyline, could be cool if they did focus on those individual Z move mechanics.
Yeah, I also think another cool aspect of it could be like, I mean, like I think of like, yeah, I know we keep talking about like how time interacts with Pokemon. I feel like it's actually a concept that like they've explored, but they haven't really fully gone into a game like with that in mind, I think. Or at least like not to the level of like where it makes up the entirety of the game. But I think of like the movie, was it Pokemon Forever, I think, or whatever, where like Ash is with, you know, like, I mean, Samuel Oaken as Celebi as a kid, right? And then at the end it gets revealed like, oh, that was actually Professor Oak the entire time, and like he basically set everything in motion by giving him the Pikachu again to start the timeline. They all meet all over again. Like that's like a pretty crazy reveal, right? So I feel like we need more stuff like that in Pokemon, because I feel like that's like probably like the most cool thing you could do. I also what I really liked about like going back to ZA even was like how like it wasn't fully grounded. Like there was definitely some like weird stuff, like obviously with how it interacted or like goofier stuff, but like the actual scale of like, you know, the crises or like things going on, like showing how powerful Pokemon really are. Like when you feel how strong Zygarde is when it throws a Nihilite at like the comet or whatever, right? Or like the giant, like a meteor or whatever it is. Or like you see like, you know what I mean? Like the power of like the legends and like how much destruction they can like rack up. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of cool.
Wait, hold on. Here's a thought though. Hold on. Wait. What if, because every time we've had regional variants, it's been in a new region taking older Pokemon, right? So it's just stay with me, Joe. Stay with me.
I'm listening.
What if we have Johtonian variants in this Legends Celebi game, Legends Johto game, or whatever? So you have like Johtonian Armarouge and Ceruledge, or Johtonian, trying to think of a Gen 7 Pokemon, Crabominal's on my mind because I got the Mega, right? Like a Johtonian Tyrantrum or something like that. Like that'd be the first time we're using an older region and taking new Pokemon and giving them regional variants.
I mean, yeah, I think so. It's like the inversion of like forms normally being an old Pokemon turned into something new, essentially, is what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm all for new forms. I'm all for new forms of Pokemon. So.
All right, we got Joe's approval. That's all. Yep. That's all we're looking for.
Yeah. Hit us up, Pokemon, if you need ideas.
Hey, listen, listen, Pikachu knows, Joe. If they put you and I in a boardroom, that meeting, it's gonna be
crazy, bro.
It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be passionate. Everyone yelling at us in the lobby. Oh, you guys just yelling at me. Why you guys hate each other? No, we love each other.
Yep.
That's why we're so passionately discussing the why Dondozo.
And for that reason, that's why Tatsugiri should still have a hitbox and make people whiff into it.
We don't have another 3 hours to end the podcast here, so we're just going to end it here, Joe. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you? On YouTube, on social media, everything, so we can have in the description down below.
Yeah, Joe UX9 on X, YouTube, Twitch, everything else. Make sure to check it out. I'll probably be streaming the GC this weekend, so make sure to check it out. But if for some reason you don't see it, make sure to check out my YouTube. I upload every other day now. And also, too, if you want some coaching for Pokemon, get better, x9academy.com.
That's
check
right.
It out.
Best coach in the biz, not biased at all, you know? So, all right, next week we're going to have our Toronto preview episode. Sierra and I will be back together. The band will come back together for that one. Thank you so much to Joe. Thank you all for watching. If you made it to the end of the episode, this has been OHKO, and we will see you next time.